Today we're going to be working on the Bozo car, and mainly today the focus is going to be getting the ride height set, or at least close, so that way we can start cutting and finally fit up all four wheels. We have all four wheels in-house, and I also wanted to show you one thing before we start. So as you know, we didn't put any of the valve stems in the lifts. The valve stems that we had were a little bit of short ones, but they still didn't clear. And you can see here is I ordered these special ones that are nearly flush. And so what you do is you just take this little cap off here, and I actually have a little valve stem. So then once you take this thing off, you take this and you screw this into there, and that's how you fill the tire. So yes, I'm gonna have to take off the wheel and tire in order to actually be able to fill these. Hopefully we're not gonna have to do that at all. There's really no reason these things should be leaking at all or losing pressure over time. But I just think this is a really clean and neat way to get around having a big ugly stem in the front. Yes, I could have probably gotten a nice little chrome one or polished aluminum. I don't know what they are, but they do have nicer ones. But I figured there's no reason to interrupt this barrel line and you know, put a big valve stem. You know, might as well try and do something a little bit more unique. I understand this isn't very Bozo. I understand that, you know, they probably have, you know, normal valve stems and everything, but I figured this is just a little bit of a unique touch to it. I just put that in the center console just so that way I don't forget it, and that way it's always with the car, which is pretty much always with the wheels. This car is super dusty. Anyways, so I think what's gonna happen, because I don't wanna cut too much right now, is I think I'm gonna adjust the ride height as close as possible with the factory wheels on there. You can see the rear has to come down a little bit just to match the front. And the front still has a little bit of gap in there. So I think we're gonna bring the front down maybe a little bit first, and then we'll just match it with the rear, and then we'll start test fitting the wheels and seeing where we really want it to be. I'm afraid that the rear is just gonna be tucking way too hard with these wheels. As is, it would already be sitting on the tire, so I don't really want to mess with that. I'd really just like to kind of guesstimate where the ride height's gonna be at with these first off. So it looks like we're gonna have to go down about another 2 inches in the front, which is pretty significant, but we're gonna have the travel. So we're gonna bring it down about 2 inches and see where it sits. And then if I like where it sits, or at least it's close, then I'm gonna match it in the rear, and it's gonna be low in the rear. But that's just how it's gonna have to be, and we might have to cut some of the door and everything like that. Someone actually was just asking me about that, and I told him, basically, if we come over here, if I do have to cut this in order to radius it for clearance for the tire, I will. I don't want to if I don't have to. I'm gonna cut as little as possible. It's not like the Miata where, you know, I really don't care. It's gotta look nice in the end with this car. So obviously I'm gonna cut as little as possible, but I'm gonna cut as much as I need to. Now I'm pretty much done with the front. It's squared up, both sides are exactly the same. I'm gonna move on to the rear and try and match the height. Right now it has a little bit of rake.
take my hand, and we don't need to do the things we don't want to do.
Now this is pretty much exactly where I want it to be sitting. I think what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna take out a rear flare, see if it's kind of in the general area of where I'd like for it to sit, kind of try and mock it up there. Again, if you saw while I was fitting this up here and saw that it doesn't fit exactly up against the car, that's because this is for an earlier year Cressida. This is for like the 60s ones with the chrome bumpers and everything. And so we are gonna have to trim some of this and then build this out with fiberglass and basically do a lot of finishing work to these flares. They're also really thin and kind of cracking on the inside on the inner lip of the flare. And so these flares are honestly going to take a lot of work to get them perfect. But I'm going to wait till George gets here because he's really kind of like the master at all that fiberglass stuff. So we're not going to be doing anything with the flares right now. I just want to make sure that the ride height is set for us to be able to put the wheels on and then be able to figure out what spacers we need. Then we can figure out where the flare is going to sit and all that. So it all kind of has to flow together, and we have to kind of do everything all at once. So as you saw, I just set this thing down on the ground. The front had more than enough clearance, at least just for compression wise. Turning wise, we're gonna have to figure that out later. Really, I just wanted to be able to sit as if it's just going straight. The rear was just barely hitting the tire, so that means that not only are we gonna have to cut off probably this little lip just for it to be able to sit, but we're also gonna have to cut up at least an inch or so higher just so that we're not rubbing while we're driving. But we're gonna leave that for another day because I have to go back to the new house and meet the cable guy over there so I can get some Wi-Fi in there finally. Hope you guys are understanding of the lack of videos recently. I have just gotten a new house and have been moving a lot of stuff recently, and it's really just a lot of work. So you're gonna have to bear with me for at least another week or so. Anyways guys, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out.